Good morning, grade 6. Our science lesson today will be about classifying living things. The scientists classifying anything in this world into two big groups, living things and non-living things. Firstly, we want to know how they make this classification. They made this according for 7 life processes, while living things do 7 life processes and the non-living things, they are not. Okay, as we had before, let us to revise what that 7 life processes that all living things do. Growth, reproduction, respiration, movement, nutrition, excretion, and sensitivity. Growth, briefly, it's increase in size. Reproduction, producing a new offspring. Respiration, turn food and oxygen to energy. Movement, changing position. Nutrition, acquiring food and water. Sensitivity, using the 5 senses. So, based on these 7 life processes, the scientists classify things into living things, into living group. Type. If you remember, could we classify anything as a living things if they are just do 6 out of these 7? No, they have to do the all 7 life processes. Then the scientists come again and classify the living things into new classification. This classification is into animals and plants. They are still keep classifying. They classify the animals group into 2 big groups, vertebrate and invertebrate. Example for invertebrate animal groups is insect, and vertebrate, they classify into 5 big groups. Okay, what do you mean by vertebrate and invertebrate? Vertebrate, that means they have backbones, while invertebrate, they don't have backbone. Okay, what is the backbone? This is the vertebral column. So if they have backbone, we call them vertebrates. If they are not, we call them invertebrate. Example for invertebrate animals, insects. Okay. Let us to go through the 5 classification of vertebrate animals. They are classified into 5 big groups: mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, and reptiles. The mammal group, they are born babies and feeding milk. Type. Before we go through these properties, let us to know how the scientists make this classification. Depend on what? Based on what? They made this classification according for the similarities and differences of living things, of the animals. That means how similar they are and how different from each other they are. So according for this, they make this 5 classification: mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, and reptiles. And this is the common properties for each group. For that reason, they make them in one group together. So mammals, what they are doing for make them at one group called mammals? They born babies and feeding milk. Okay? Their skin cover either with hair or fur. Hair like animal or fur like goat. Okay? They have fixed body temperature. We don't have that option to change our body temperature according for the weather or whatever happening. We have fixed body temperature. We can not control our body temperature. So, for example, if we have fever, your body temperature is about 40 degrees Celsius. Can you just come down and make it 35 or 36 or 37? No, we can't. As a human, we can't do it. For that reason, we have fixed body temperature. So mammals breathe with lungs. Breathe with lungs. For example, for mammals group, human, dog, cat. So this is the common features and properties. Let the scientists make them in a one group called mammals. Okay, let us to go to the next group. They are called birds. Birds, they lay eggs. Their skin covered with feather. And also they have fixed body temperature. For that reason, sometimes if it's too cold, the birds try to immigrate to another place because they cannot change their body temperature. Birds breathe with lungs. For example, for birds, parrot. The third group is fish. Fish also lay eggs. Their skin covered with scales. But they can change their body temperature. They live in water. Sometimes in hot season, in summer, the water is too hot. And in winter, the water is too cold. So for that reason, they can change their body temperature. So they have the ability to change their body temperature. They breathe with gills. They breathe with gills. Example for birds is salmon. Amphibians, this is the fourth group. What do you mean by amphibians? Amphibian, this is the group that can live in land and water at the same time. And what they common features? Firstly, they lay eggs and they have damp skin. Damp mean wet. And this is very reasonable because they go inside water and outside water. They keep their body wet. They can change their body temperature. They can change their body temperature. Sorry for that disturbance. They born with gills, but it's developed into lungs. So for that reason, they can breathe inside water and outside water. For example, for amphibians is frog. Reptile, this is the fifth group. And they lay eggs. Their skin covered with scales. They can change their body temperature. As you know, some of reptiles also they live in desert, and desert weather is too hot at daytime and too cold at nighttime, so they need to change their body temperature during the day. So they have these skills to change their body temperature. They breathe with lungs. Example for reptiles is lizard. So this is the 5 classification for vertebrate animals, which vertebrate, they are animal having backbones. Is it clear? I hope it's be clear for you.